Hello, I'm Kevin Turner from Real Estate Talk. This is another one in the video series, especially for Australian Property Investor magazine readers, to help you with your property investment strategy. Most people think the auctioneer controls the outcome of the auction, when in fact it's the buyer and the seller who really have all the control. After all, it is the buyer who will decide the eventual value of the property, provided that is, they don't allow themselves to be manipulated by the auctioneer. So, here are some tips for you. Know before the auction starts just how far you'll go. In other words, what's the most you'll pay, and then be firm on that figure. Your goal should be to get the property for as little as possible. The goal of the auctioneer and the seller, of course, is to get as much out of you as they possibly can. So for that reason, you have to be firm on that top figure. Remember, the property won't be sold until the reserve is reached. And while it's not necessarily the case for the auctioneer to have to announce when that figure has been reached, it's highly unlikely you're going to reach the reserve in the early stages of the auction. So don't feel you have to be the first bidder or the most powerful bidder. Unless, of course, your strategy is to be the knockout bidder, and that's where your first bid is so high it knocks out all the other bidders. But that's subject for another video. The bottom line here is don't be too keen to show your hand too quickly. You can exercise some control over the process by nominating your own increases, not necessarily going with those that have been nominated by the auctioneer. Now, this is a great way to test the experience of the auctioneer, because if he or she automatically takes the figure that you've nominated, it can mean one of many things. Firstly, you may be the only bidder. Secondly, that you may be very close to the reserve. Or third, that he or she just simply doesn't have the confidence to bid over you. In any case, you'll be exercising some control and showing everyone, including the auctioneer, that you have a game plan. If the auctioneer comes to you because you're the highest bidder, this does not necessarily mean that the reserve has not been met. You could actually be at the reserve, or you could in fact be over it, because it's the auctioneer's job to get as much out of you as they possibly can. So at this point, you need to resist. Don't give any more money. Now, if the reserve hasn't been met and you don't move, the seller then has to decide whether or not they'll sell you the property at the figure you've currently bid, or in fact they may decide to pass it in. However, if it's passed in, that then gives you the opportunity to find out the reserve. You can then make a decision as to whether or not you meet the reserve or stay right where you are. But you need to put yourself in the position to negotiate. Stay cool, have a game plan, and make sure you stick to it. Good luck.